Okay, I had foot someone, I just gonna.
Oh, I can't.
You're coming off track, man.
I just pointed out your dirty knees to go.
That's a picture of innocence.
It is?
Okay. Okay, we can cut your hand out. See the legs?
If I had sat down, it would have been soundless.
Give them that look again, Lydia.
Hardly recognise you, Andrew. Very smart. Is this Mrs. Andrew?
Just a look at it.
Oh, week after me. How are you?
I think she's a hard head last. It's great. Thanks very much. Yes, you have it. Mrs. Ann's brother. I could have taken.
You're the cloakroom attendant, are you? Or to hang up my
your
own
wife's
coat?
been called to the bar.
Not before time, as she started up in the back here.
Give us a smile, Pat.
That's that Johnny again.
And you come. What, Ben?
I hate that thing.
What thing?
I had one. That jam. I had one and I gave it to Kevin.
There's no film in it.
Oh my God, about that.
That was I don't know.
Have a drink and have a drink.
I'll see what she takes.
Just say it, no smile.
You to your own reunion. Thanks for coming. I hope we'll have a jolly evening. Later on we'll tell you what the order of events will be. Some of you will get a shock because you've got to do things as well. But it's up to us to have a good evening and enjoy ourselves. We'll start the evening with Jimmy will say a grace for us.
Heavenly Father, we give you the thanks for bringing us all here safely together after so many years. The fellowship we will all enjoy together and the food we are about to receive. God bless you all here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
And James George Mitchell, I'd like to say something now before we go for our food. You there, James?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast to absent friends. Some, of course, are no longer with us. Some of them are unable to travel through illness, and others, for various reasons, are not able to be here. So please be upstanding and drink a toast to absent friends. And if you like, there's some letters of regrets that are unable to be here, and they're on the table, and you can read them today. Thank you.
There's no, I was going to say no pecking order, but there's no rule about who goes for the meal first. As you see, there's a chef at both ends of the table waiting to serve you, so whichever table would like to start from.
Good sight, John. You're welcome.
Told you that battery was nothing.
Smile. What's about me?
There you go.
It's coming from all angles.
Yes. I was just going to say that.
James.
Yes, homework in
Gentlemen, school chums, I think it's appropriate time before into the bar to thank our committee. It made this reunion possible. I would like to thank them individually. If you don't mind, I'll start off with Lydia. Lydia, thank you very much. And you just give a round of applause. And then we have Dolly sitting over at the far table. We'd like to thank you, Dolly, for getting involved and getting us all here. Then we have May, who has done a lot of work as well, and we'd like to thank you. We have Cathy Mitchell. We'd like also to thank you, who you was involved in the committee, I believe. Not forgetting our cameraman, Donny, who's been in attendance this morning and this evening. And I believe I've been told by Jimmy Cummins, who made history here today, or this evening, that we are the only reunion of 70 years old. Previously, it was a 60-year-old reunion, so you can have applause for yourself. Oh, and I forgot George Mitchell. I'm attracted by the ladies and I forget about the men. I'd like to thank George for doing it. Now, he was the gentleman who phoned me, so I know that he's involved. And also that Jimmy Cummins, he wrote to me. Thank you, George.
After your meal, which we hope you enjoyed, having coffee wouldn't keep you in the dark anymore. We'll tell you what's happening for the rest of the evening. It's a great big bit of paper, but it's just because I'm short-sighted and the writing's big. And don't think you're going to get off scot-free, you know. But we have, regrettably, a few people who wanted to be here and couldn't. But we have lovely messages from them, some of which you've been told you can read at the table, others we thought you might like to have read for you. So we've one or two of those. We have reminiscences by somebody who did start in primary one with us, but he came from a different ert in Scotland, so we said to him, maybe you would give us your impression of what it was like to muck in one of the lossy rooms and climbs. And AOCB is down below here, and all of you who attend business meetings and all you who are good secretaries know that means any other competent business, this is when you come in. We know that you're dying to say, do you mind when we used to so-and-so? Now, we better start preparing because we will expect a few of you to want to say a few words and remind us of happy times. Maybe not some not so happy, but certainly times we shared. And we were lucky to be in Mossy and brought up in Mossy, and we are together. And we can point to that as us all being together tonight. Then after that, that's the serious stuff. James has got some great music here. We've got music. There can be blethers. The reason we didn't put name cards on the table was so that you could all shift around if you wanted and catch up with each other's news. Maybe a song or two, dare I say, maybe even a dance. And we will wind up with all dancing, maybe around about 11:30. Now that's what we're telling you. If you would like something else to happen, or you have any ideas of what would even make our evening jollier, come to any committee, make a suggestion, or shout it out to me now if you like. But it's up to us, all of us, to make it a good night. And we could start off with a message from a lady who really kicked this off some time ago. She sent us a message, and I think Dolly has a copy of it, which those of us you see in our emails have copied and got somebody to blow up, and Dolly will kick off with a message for all of us to remind us of the girl who really did chase this thing up quite some time ago, Dolly. Quite some time ago, Dolly.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to stand here tonight, and I count it a privilege to read this email that arrived to Lydia this afternoon. As most of you know, Elma was my school pal, and this is from Elma. Dear Lydia, the date of the reunion is fast approaching. I will be thinking about you all as you gather for your butteries and coffee. My mouth is watering. Will you pass on my very best wishes to our classmates? The tongues will be wagging as you all reminisce about our happy school days. From the time we were introduced to Miss Forsyth and the babies class to the qualifying class, then the high school. Speaking personally, I enjoyed school, although my record was lackluster until we made it to the high school. Then we met Mr. Tulloch, in brackets. I was absolutely terrified of him, and algebra is still a mystery to me. Miss Jack also had an intimidating manner, but we did pass all our Latin tests. I well remember getting 3 stinging belts of the strap from her for talking to yours truly during a test. Ouch, she says. Miss Marr was so gentle. Do you remember her standing on her desk and having us sing the French national anthem on D-Day, Allons les enfants? Remember? Miss Smiley did her best to teach us music. I'm sure there'll be lots of stories to tell, but those are the ones that come into my mind just now. As most of you know, Elma's been quite ill, and she's been having a lot of treatment. I find that chemotherapy scrambles my brain a bit. After the 5th treatment, I've been so tired. I feel as if my batteries have just been about to run dry. So it's just as well we didn't tackle it on our trip to Lothian, wonderful as it would have been. Never mind, one more treatment to go. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, as well as any other member of our class who would care to write to me. It will make my day. Fondest regards, Elma.
Right, I've got a couple of letters here that I want to read extracts from. The first one is from Lawrence Reed. Now, Lawrence was a buckyloon, and he came and joined the class in the mid-1930s. I can't remember exactly when. But he was a fine loon. He was really a fine loon. And I remember him because probably he was such a nice lad. And he was impolite, he was well-mannered, his face and his neck was eye clean, his hair was eye shed, and he wore a suit and collar and tie, and he looked like a new breed. That's what I remember about Lawrence. He was a nice man. But he remembers a distinctive drone of the Heinkel 111 before it dropped the bombs on the Coast Guard station. That's what he remembers. He remembers that distinctive drone. Anyway, after he left Lothian, he went to Dundee, just the beginning of the war, or just after the war started. And then eventually he left Dundee after the war and came back to Buckie, where he went to Buckie High School and eventually went to Aberdeen University. He finished up as a lecturer at Bristol University, and he's married with 3 children. But anyway, I'll just read this little bit. He said, as you may know, I happened to ring him 20 minutes after he'd got back from a urology clinic, where a consultant had confirmed prostate cancer and indicated a bleak and possibly rather short future. That was not easy to come to terms with, and it caused the whole family great concern. But I'm more than happy to say that I've since been extremely lucky. My system responded exceptionally well to medication, and it now seems there are quite a few years left in the old dog. My stamina is being slow to recover, however, and I think that it would be unwise to undertake the expedition to the Stotfield Hotel. intrigued though I am. So I can only wish you and the classmates a great day on the 20th. There will be lots of interest and not a little amusement, I am sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Glory be. Now, the other letter is from John Stewart for a 1935 class. Probably some of you remember him as Stoopers, that was his nickname. And he says, regards to those attending the dinner, next time maybe it could be Victoria. And of course he stays in Victoria, British Columbia, now in Canada. Anyway, he starts off with the primaries, and he says, we'll never forget them, for they made us what we are. Those middle-class maids with missionary zeal were determined to straighten us all. Their names still live in our history. I'm sure they colour our thoughts. Forsyth, MacLeod and Edwards, Smith, Hardy and Russell. I can't imagine Russell, but he obviously does. Miss Mark was the sweetest, the kindest, and why can't I remember her name, or whether she was single or married? Oh, now I remember Miss McElraith. I'm almost sure that she was a miss. She was still the sweetest, the kindest, but it's the tyrants that we can recall. And after that, if you mind, we went across the corridor to Miss Hardy, and my God, was that a culture shock. Anyway, he then goes on to speak about Miss Grant, Pluke, if you remember. Tell us, John, what is poetry? Said Granty Pluke one day. It's a recollection of a past experience put into verse, Miss Grant. Is that your idea of poetry then, John? Oh no, miss, it's the Lord of the Lakes, Mr. Wordsworth, said that. Give credit, John, give credit where it's due. Yes, Miss Grant, whatever you say, I'll go along your way. She said, spying me, receiving a map during lunch for her lessons on geography. Cathy Mitchell was obliging and always did her work. She lent her map for lunchtime so I could keep a pace. When I handed in my copy, Miss Grant gave me a 7 and said, John, you should never visit a lady before 3 in the afternoon. Or a gentleman before 11. She was just ever so very serious, her Miss Grant. And she taught English literature, history and geography. He then goes on to Tulloch. And we are keen about Boggy Clark, don't we? Without a doubt, knowing what I know about life now, he was a sadist. There's no doubt about it, he was a sadist. And if he did what he did then, he'd have got about 5 years for GBH with him. Anyway, he said to John, stop bobbing up and down like a cork in the ocean, boy. Stand up and be like a man and tell me about Pythagoras. That is, if you can. And don't just say two sides have to equal the square on the other. Nothing ever satisfied this grumpy old man. His ever-repeated phrase was, speak up, boy. That is, if you really have something to say. We couldn't believe our wonderful luck. And this is on a New Year's Eve, after a bout of drinking, he fell into the herb. And he was drowned. Anyway, Crawford and Bug Eyes replaced him. He was a sweet young fellow, but she was a different sort. Big eyes, big mouth, big front and behind. A smoky voice, she could bellow, and we shriveled. I don't think that I have met her like in all the years since. Anyway, he goes on to speak about Latin next, Miss Jack. Jackass, as we can do that. John, give us your Latin translation from our studies of yesterday. Now, she'd never ever asked me to show the work I'd done, so I thought I'd take a day off and catch up. You seem to be having trouble finding the translations you made. Come out to the floor and hold up your hand. I'll have to do something about this. John's sister Helen had worked in Maggie Ann, where Miss Jack had stayed. So he did benefit from many concessions, but that was all over now, and I was to pay the price. Parallel feet in golfer's stance, she hold up your hand and head and face it like a man. She swung her swing, the strap came down, I felt its cutting sting. Her thin mouth pursed up, shut tight, as she lined up for the next shot. 4 of the best was what I got. I no more, a mass, a man. I love you, she loves you, they love you. It's all I can remember now. Was it all in vain? And then he goes on to Miss Marr. We all know about Poodle. I remember her up the top of the stairs shouting, hurry up, dépêchez-vous, dépêchez-vous. Anyway, John goes on, longs enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Sing louder, Jean, I can't hear you. John Stewart, sing as loud as you can. Please, miss, my voice is broken. I cannot carry a tune. It's nonsense, you've a wonderful tenor. Sing up, sing out, and stay in tune. Hamish Campbell groaned and moaned, and he got out of it all the time. James George and I tried it as well, but Poodle knew what was up and kept us under a spell. Je ne sais pas, avec mes sabots, Dong Den. Campbell smirked as he sat quite dumb, and we were made to roar, avec mes sabots, Dong Den, avec mes sabots. High-strung, nervous, pompadour hair, she was aptly named the Poodle. You did your homework, or got 6 of the stinging best, Dong Den. He then goes on to speak about Bobby Brown. Now, Brown, as you can remember, was exceptionally sarcastic, and he was exceptionally boring, and he had an abundance of both, didn't he? So anyway, he said, where is your homework, young lady? And this was addressed to Jean. Jean, where are you? Jean McIntosh. Yeah. Please, sir, I had to go to town. Town, girl? Is there a town around here? You mean Elgin? No, sir. I mean down to the town, down here. But Lossiemouth is not a town, girl. Lossiemouth is a village. Why do you call it a town, girl, when it's only a village? Were it considerably larger, it would be a town, but he went on and on and on and on and on. You can't mind that change, can you? John did. Now he goes on to legs. Now, I minding legs, and I bet the other one's gone. And she, after being taught a lot of these middle-aged wishes, she was young and she was blonde and she was absolutely lovely. And she had legs right up there. And she used to sit in one of the desks with her feet up on the seat, you can. You can imagine all the young ladies, the hormones were going. Anyway, John says Alexander the Great, that was Miss Alexander. She was a art teacher and she moved on to the quarry. I suspect Butler Knox I would call the relic of the Victorian era. Along came just legs, as she became to be known. She was youth, she was fun, she was teeth all her own. We watched as she jiggled and wiggled her way down the aisles. How she sat, crossed her legs, we were all beguiled. The government, it seems, had asked us to measure the clothes we used so that we could treasure the cloth that was left and make it go around. From her hips to her toes, she seemed to be hose. She was all art herself. A steady in motion, she was life come alive on the grey moratorium. I bet you ought to lose mine about once. Anyway, he goes on to Hasta Hastai. For years now, I've been writing for some bright spark to ask me what the Romans called the pointy things they carried around in their hands. I've carried the name within my head on the top of my tongue, but nary a one has asked me, never a one said spear. I've crossed the Tiber with Caesar, the army pushing us on, each armed with a hasta on his hand, a toga on his back. Oh, how I wish they'd asked me the Latin word for spear. And the strange thing about it, that's all I remember about hasta or hastai, was a spear. So I must have been on the same level as John. It's funny what you remember about your youngest days. Amo, amas, je suis, Pythagoras, seemed awful important. Is the sum of the square on the long side still equal the sum of the square on the other two sides? That's how it was in the war days when we bobbed on the ocean of time. There's just one thing I'd like to say about Hamish Campbell, as John spoke about. Hamish was a very tricky loon. He had a big grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye. And I can remember once in the singing, Miss Melody, the singing teacher, I can't mind if it was the end of the year or getting on to the summer holidays or it was Christmas, but everybody had to do something. They can sing a song, play an instrument or something. And Hamish chose to do a bit of poetry. So when it came his turn, out he goes into the middle of the floor, a very big sheet of paper. And he says, I'm going to recite a poem about Nelson. So he stands up and he says, Nelson's farewell to his mother. Ta-ta, Mum. And there was absolute silence. Everybody was standing. And they looked at Miss Smelly, and she started laughing and clapping. So that was everybody. So that was my story about Hamish. He was a character. Thank you very much.
Shoved in a gas van with a label around my neck saying, please deposit at Lossiemouth, with my little gas mask by my side and a small case. I must use my news now. This war will no last long. He. And I joined Lossie School. That year my first teacher was Miss Campbell. Annie Horsey. What a funny name for a woman, I thought. And then I discovered it was a tea name. I'd never heard of a tea name before. Didn't have them in Glasgow. But what a woman. What a teacher, I'm sure you'll all agree. Tea names were not common. Till I came to Lossie, and I never had next read so many, it was truly gobsmacked to hear all the boys called idiots. And all the girls called by a name I'd never heard before. Loons and Quines. I've never come across this. When I think of the bonny girls that was subjected to this dedication, and thought what a bunch of heathens. However, it wasn't long before I too called the boys loons and the girls quines, and felt quite superior at the ease with which it rolled off the tongue. However, I was a heathen myself. All this time, I lived with a great aunt and uncle at Seatown, one Seatown. Gorges is a polite told me I'm now considered a dog, and I don't think I
Close, John, close.
One day while making my, and anyway, at that time I got a job with Peter Lupp. Remember Peter Lupp in Clifton Road? Yeah. I got a job as a message boy, only because I knew the Seatown quite well. And I was given this job as a message boy, delivery messages, and I'm off. And this particular wee smile, she well, The woman was making inquiry as to who your mother and father were, and you said you didn't know. So, that sort of solved that problem. Now, hold on a second, with my place. Aye, well, I've got it again. Our school holidays were spent in Glasgow. And I came to realise my pals in Glasgow were not nearly half as smart as the ones I'd made up here. Because where else could a boy with a woodbine and a pin give 10 lads a smoke? And you could hear the cries of sugar, sugar! Because the lad with the sugar got 2 drags. If we'd only known the dangers we weren't carrying at that time. Well, after many a scrape, fright and some luck, I managed to get myself into the HG, and I stayed for 2 years, leaving at the end of the 2nd year when the family moved to London, bringing to an end my stay at Lossy, leave me with a load of memories, mostly happy, some sad. But I have to confess, I would have to do it all again with the same companions. Thank you very much.
This is the time for blether. This is the time for blether, so you just are allowed to speak to each other and remember some of the names. I said, what have you got there, Cathy? Oh, nothing very much. I said, here's a look at it. And she says, well, I'll read a bit. And we discovered we have a lady with hidden talent here, and she was going to escape. So we made her bring a bit of paper, and we think she's going to give us a little bit of entertainment also about lossy days long gone by. Cathy. Well, John MacDonald's are very hard to follow, you know, but I'll do my best. Div you mind has been said once or twice here tonight, and this is what my poem is all about. Div you mind? Div you mind when we were little and the sun shone every day, and we'd wide out on the west beach in that bonny little bay? Div you mind in chalk and inkwells and slate pencils at the school? Div you mind in copy divvies and checks tied up with wool? Div you mind in bookies runners? Bill Shoppy was the link. Black-leaded grates and ovens, brass taps and the cast iron sink. Div you mind in wash-house boilers and mangles sair to car, and squares of paper hung with string on the whitewashed lavvy wall? Div you mind the watch and chain that Granda wore and Granny's crocheted shawl? Do you really mind in all these things? You must be getting old. Div you mind on games we managed to play with 2 or 3 yards of rope, and they telling your ma that you'd seen Jesus at the beach bar Band of Hope? Div you mind loons coloured jerseys with a stripped tie to wear? Do you mind on fleckenlouse gonsies that made your skin geyser? Div you mind when a pal was a quine with an apple that I gave you the core? Div you mind in the smell of coffee wafting out a dome's shop door? Div you mind in lucky tatties that made you feel just great? Div you mind in fairy cycles with solid tyres and just a brake? Div you mind on Wardy's horse and message loons on bikes and men with +4s on the course we'd never seen the like? Div you mind in boots and tackets, itch and combies hand me doons, for nobody kent the difference telling the quines for the loons? Do you mind on the things we used to eat like scurly, skink and spall? Well, the youngsters going about today minding junk food for near all. Do you mind when chanties neath the bed save journeys in the car? If you're admitted to minding that, like me, you're getting all. Do you mind in Robbie Thompson up there in Doer James Street?
Yeah.
I wonder was it really true that he tramped the doorway's feet? Div you mind, div you mind, div you mind, the words that come with age. We're hanging on to the all times, just waiting to turn the next page. My consolation can only be if you lot here admit to mine and tea, you're definitely as all as me.
Alexander, Pagan, Kingsley. And then I came across this wee poem company. I've carried it with me for a long time. And I've recited it to many a folk, to my grandmains and wonder what you're talking about. And it went something that's it's very, very short. But you'll all recall that some spoke of Alexander's and some of Haker-Bott, and some of Jimmy Dougal, and such good men as that. And the end was on to Purry's, but there's none you could compare. It was all Robbie Thompson, the man was at the heel.
Very good. Robbie Thompson, the lifeboat.
We used to say that Robbie Thompson was the hole in the middle of the shop.
Quite clever.
He threw them down and they back to high heaven. And we used to go along there, and you were one of us trying to say, oh, Stuart Close. And that's my most vivid memory about Janitor, Willie McLeod. Stuart Close.
And we had that milk, the wee bottles of milk.
Yes.
And in the really cold weather, the cream had gone into like ice cream. It was just ice.
Right.
And we used to have to break a hole in the cardboard, put in our straw. And we were frozen stiff and we were taking this cold milk. Of course, we good for it.
I remember when we were asked if we wanted to take school dinners, remember Lydia? And you and I coming home, we thought this is a brilliant idea, we'll be away from the house from morning until 4 o'clock on dinner. And went home and Mother says, no, there's no need for you to have school dinners, we have the dinner at home. No, so you encouraged your mother and she said yes, and I said, oh, Lydia's mother says she can, oh right, oh go ahead. Well, we were the only two out of the whole class whose mothers said that we could have. With the result, the whole thing fell apart and we didn't get it, and we put up such a... But later on, of course, it came sort of more popular. But I always forget, I thought, great, you know, we all day from your lunch out, and it didn't come to anything.
We did tell a little white lie, but never mind.
Which one was that?
You told your mum that my mum said...
Oh yes, oh yes.
I told my mum that your mum said...
But we did that a lot.
But a lot of folk used to heat their milk in the radiator and
That's
it was
right.
sour. Mind you, we weren't appreciative because we put it free to begin with, didn't we? Then we had to pay tuppence halfpenny a week, halfpenny a month.
Yes, little cardboard drops, and it was good for you, good for your teeth, the calcium and everything.
We used those cardboard stoppers for making the balls of wool.
That's right.
And we used to, that's right. Because I had a pixie hood, and my pixie hood was different. I had 2 pom-poms on the teeth, made out of the cardboard from the mill.
Well, that would have been nice, and your ringlets going down the back of it.
Oh, we were jealous.
I was telling her that we were really jealous of the dead straight
shiny, bouncing around.
I can remember writing in my diary on my birthday. Spent so long in the shelter because the sirens had gone out on the smelly shelter. I came across this bit of paper and it was sent to my brother had to come home with it. an event of an air raid. What's that saying? An event of an air raid warning during school hours. The baby class will remain in school. And that was before God. It's just a really? Do the teachers still do that sort of thing?
Look at that nice writing. And did you notice nobody tonight has talked about the war? No. There's all the sticky tape in all the windows, the gas masks, the air raid shelters.
I think we probably want to forget
the fact. Well, we only went to school for half days.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I started doing the other half day.
And the heating wasn't good, and we were allowed to wear trousers later on. Do you remember that? Because I fancied a pair of brown trousers in Elgin.
Yes, I think you're right.
Far too big for me, but I wanted them. They were out of that window. My father wasn't with me, but I had the money, and I wore these trousers for them. They are not. Yes, I had because
that must have been.
There was no heating. That was.
But do you remember in the higher grade, very higher grade, Miss Roy, Bill Roy had a PE, and she announced that we all had to be dressed alike. And our mothers were told, and we all had to wear navy blue knickers. And we were out in the field, and then the folk that lived up St Geraldine's Road wrote letters into Dr. Jessup, objecting to this flagrant exhibition. I don't know what all. George Jessup didn't even know we were wearing knickers up the field. We all marched down. We were telling off, not Pelroy.
Did you remember Miss Mars when the poodle was feeling the cold? She would sit on the radiator.
Yes.
And she would sit up, you know, and she used to wear red bloomers down to her knees, and the boys used to wear red bloomers.
No, it's a wonder none of them said something about that.
Used to go into her room and she would, the sign that said the accommodation for that room was, say, 44 or whatever it was, and if it was missing, I was into my dictionary looking how to spell accommodation, and I bet you there's not one person who had her as a teacher who can't spell accommodation properly.
Spelling test, and she would walk across the floor like this and turn the notice over to face the wall, which is, we're getting accommodation.
With the two sleeves, the two ends.
Is there anybody here that can spell accommodation? You mind the notice that I got turned through the spelling test? The notice was turned around. I said, we're getting accommodation. Remember that, Jimmy?
Yes.
You all spell accommodation?
Yes. Even me.
Privilege.
Once a week, regular comes, so the clock just suddenly struck. Used to wheel the tram down to the station, on the 1:30 train to Elgin, up and wander about Elgin until 5 o'clock, back to the station, and back down to London. It was a great system. Brilliant.
Like you come down from Elgin, you come down regularly. When you have your school out, that sort of thing. And then fishing off the harbour, you know where line is, fishing off the line is.
I used to know the bus. The bus made for the train. And the guard at the station would say, can you get in the train? Waiting for you, threw you in the train. Can you see them doing that nowadays?
You think about it, you know, and I mean, we lived in Glasgow for 10 years, and the difference is just...
I can't stand the place. I don't like the place at all. My son's there, my sister's there. And I used to go to Glasgow down Parliament Road, down the Alexander Parade, down Parliament Road, and come to Cathedral Street, down to here. It was a doddle. I did in Glasgow, I was no sweat. There's no bother. All of a sudden one day, it all blocked off. Motorways here, motorways there. I didn't know where I was going. I was only going through the Clyde Tunnel 3 times my way south to see my sister. This was maybe about here somewhere. Way over there. And of course, I was getting more and more annoyed.
Why didn't they build this tunnel the right way?
Well, I wish they'd cut it line the boot with a blank over it.
I just want to drive.
Cheers, Alan. No, I'm not here to enjoy myself. It's nearly evens. I'm here telling Scott and Alan.
Was there a younger class than older?
That was the age. What are the names?
This will be the next intake.
Danny don't know why. He was an awful fellow. Oh, Johnny.
You mean he's a coaching man, the man who coached the rabbits.
I remember he ended up in jail 2 or 3 times.
What was this? Coaching rabbits or bring
Him and the lady did a great idea. Stand two together.
That's Elma's.
Oh,
This is a story here, isn't it?
that's Elma. What a thing you can go back to, eh?
throwing water down the back way to the sledges.
Oh yes, get the
I used to come down to the greens and the hamlets and the sledge and the back break.
Aye, to get in the back.
Walk all the way down, follow this way to get back in the
Used to be able to go off the school gate.
Right down the post office.
When you had to go them, if he was on the sledge when you got there and you come off it, was just stop there.
Come off your sledge and go to the post.
That's right, to sail a long, long way ahead. It was a great time, that winter time, but these are the days.
I live next door to the station. Yes, a bit I said, Jimmy coming, and I never got rid of you. And he says, so then Elma came home, and we always got together. I was putting you, and there was a group of us met in Margaret, probably 35 of us. And we discovered that there were 7 of us who all went to school at the same time. And we said, we really must. So that's why we got cracking to do this. We're getting sorely worried. We maybe left it too long, but I think not. So as we've all said to them all, we're quality. And she right. And you know what she said? George Mitchell,
so much into it. I think that because Mr. McMahon, the school inspector, came into our class one day morning, and of course he fired questions off the cuff, and everybody was sort of wondering what on earth he was going to come away with. And he says, what's better than one herring? And James George Mitchell stood up and said, 2 herrings, sir. Well done, boy. Out you went. I was trying to, he can't remember that at all. And I remember him saying that.
Yes. But so did your cycle to her? He was a gentle chap. Did she cycle?
Yes, she cycled every day, no matter what the weather was. That's right. Yes. When we went right, there were the red veins with the weather. She was weather beaten.
We used to have to walk from Mossy to our father's farm to pick the tatties. Were you over at the tatties?
Yes.
I just thought about it just now.
Oh, well, I went, and my mother made me wear as many layers of clothes. And I had my bike, but everybody else was walking, so I pushed my bike and walked with them. And I was exhausted. It was so hot. We were, what's the word we use for, they've already picked up the potatoes, but we're picking up what's left. The harrowing or something like that. And absolutely exhausted. And I was in my bed for a fortnight, and I'd only done half a day. And I went away back to get the money for my wages, and I got half a crown. Did you walk all that way? I'm absolutely exhausted. It's sore back in the morning.
Doreen again verdient het short up in you see. Oh, ik kan het weten.
And they were singing it in Montana before. And of course, every time I hear that, I think we're singing it. You remember that? Yeah, so I don't know where they were from, but they were all.
Yeah.
Anita, did you go to the tatties?
I was on the same half a day. It was all I lasted, and I was in my bed for a fortnight. Got half a crown for it all.
Of course, she's all up in the house.
I thought we were paying a shilling a day.
But it was half a crown, and I went all that way up the farm for it.
Very interesting.
I got the Rico quite a few times for half a crown.
I didn't hear.
I'm going to wait to see.
Was it the one in Lines?
Yeah, I remember the tatties. It's a 1-to-1.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I go in here with mother.
That's for Doreen, who said it. No, she's sitting down.
I agree, but
With a copy of the poem. With a copy of the poem.
Oh, just.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
You'll make it.
till we meet tomorrow. Good night, sweetheart. Sleep will banish sorrow. Tears and parting may make us forlorn, but with the dawn a new day is born. So I'll say good night, sweetheart, though I'm not beside you. Good night, sweetheart, still my love will guide you. Dreams enfold you, in each one I'll hold you. Good night, sweetheart, good night.